every minute.
I know one thing. Chris looks like a new player coming out here since they got down to heads up. He's playing fast. He can't let this guy just run over him, and he's certainly not allowing that to happen. Here's Hanley on the button. He's picked up the 4-8 of spade. He wants to see a flop. He just calls. Now Chris with an ace high.
Raise 20.
And the best hand. He's doing the right thing. He's raising here.
Yeah, ace 7 with the button is a big hand these days.
Call.
Hanley called 20 more thousand. We're going to see a flop. So we got 54,000 in the pot right now. And here comes a flop. 10-9-4.
Not a bad hand for Hanley. He picks up a pair of 4s.
40,000.
40,000.
Hanley bets 40,000.
I'm all in.
And Chris moves all in. Chris is on a stone bluff with ace 7. He moves all in. He's put Hanley to the test here.
I call you.
Look at Hanley, the gambler. Hanley says I call. Hanley's hoping he's got ace king or ace queen, and the 2 4s are the best hand. And he's exactly right. Hanley is right. He's only got ace high. But the 7 comes on the turn. The 7 comes on the turn.
Card to Chris.
Now look what happens here. Hanley can win this pot with a 4, a 6, an 8, or a jack.
Not gonna happen.
He does not get it. Look at Kamikaze. He made the correct call with a pair. He put him on ace high. He didn't think he had a pair. He called him with the 2 4s. He was correct. He got outdrawn with 2 to go. He still had a lot of outs to win this pot. This pot was almost 300,000. Whoa, what a turnaround. We're about dead even in chips again here. Hanley still has the lead, but the gap has closed. Well, Hanley's fast sailboat turned into a rowboat with no oars. Looks like he's a little deflated there by losing that last pot.
Check.
Well, this is an entirely new player. Chris has totally changed gears for the better.
Well, he's energized. He's pumped up. And here comes the flop. 7-7-8 with 2 clubs.
Check, check.
Goes check, check. They're both checked. The 9 of clubs on the turn.
Look at that. That makes the straight for Chris.
20.
And Hanley's betting into him.
All in.
He moved all in. Chris moved all in.
Hanley's smiling.
He made a straight. He's got a straight flush draw.
This is going to put Hanley in therapy. I mean, this is ridiculous. Okay, he got his man out.
Hanley folds.
Shows the straight.
Chris shows the straight to him.
Now, are you kind of surprised that he didn't just play a little bit slower to suck Hanley into another bet?
Well, that's a pretty big raise. I mean, he had 266,000 more. I don't know why you'd raise that much. Suppose the guy made a flush on you, you'd be broke. But I'm surprised. That is quite a huge re-raise, I must say that. Well, the action's on Hanley.
This looks like a different guy. I mean, this looks like a guy that's his friends just didn't show up on his birthday. I mean, he is depressed now. He's a different player.
Hanley limps in. Chris checks.
They both have junk hands. Let's see what happens.
Flop is 5-8 jack. Chris check. Hanley check. Check, check.
Well, Chris flopped the bottom pair. Hanley has got a 3-4. He's got nothing.
7 of spades. Check.
The 7 comes on the turn. It goes check, check again.
And the river.
Now the king comes at the river.
Chris checks.
Chris has a pair of 5s. Now the only way Hanley can win this pot is if he bets.
20.
Here comes Hanley. He is going to bet at the pot. Now Chris has a pair. He has the best hand, but he gave it up. Now Hanley earned this pot, Vince. In poker, this is what you call when you earn your pot. When you're betting with nothing to pick up a pot. Hanley's done that about 3 or 4 times here lately. And he's earning his pot. You got to give him his due.
Absolutely.
I mean, that last one wasn't a bet. That was a holdup. He's back.
We're at the Bicycle Casino for the Legends of Poker. We'll be right back. to the final two players at the Bicycle Casino's Legends of Poker tournament. Conservative Chris Karagoulian has turned up the heat, snatching pot after pot from kamikaze Han Lee. Both players have got to stay aggressive if they want to become the next legend.
Well, Chris has cut deeply into that lead now. He's less than $100,000 behind Hanley at this moment.
The one who's going to take home more than $250,000, get that guaranteed seat at the WPT Championships at Bellagio worth millions.
40.
Okay, Chris has the real hand. Ace King, big slick.
He raised it 40,000. Now that's a pretty good size raise. Now does Hanley want to gamble and take a flop with this hand? He only has a 10-9. He has position, but that's a huge raise, 40,000. The blind's only 6,000.
Hanley thinking. Throws it away.
See, now when you make plays like that, Vance, it looks like to me that you're just looking to play big pots. You're not looking to chop out little pots. You know, you look a little afraid to play the smaller pots, see? Something Hanley likes to do. He likes to bet the 10,000s. Whereas Chris makes a big raise, 40,000 with an ace-king. Well, right now, Hanley has about 380,000 in chips, and Chris has about 290,000. So it's a good battle. It's anybody's tournament. The blinds are only 3 and 6,000.
Chris checks.
So this could be a long battle. Now Han limps again on the button.
And the flop is Jack, Jack, 10, 2 hearts.
20.
Hanley has flopped an open in straight.
20,000.
Hanley wins the pot.
He's done it again.
His strategy of limping on the button has really paid off for him. He's picked up a lot of pots by just limping in on the button.
Chris looking a little worried there for the first time.
All right, Hanley's on the button. He limps in again. That play's worked well for him so far.
Chris checks.
He has a king 4 offsuit.
Chris only has a queen 6 offsuit. Let's see what happens.
Flop comes king, queen, deuce.
Oh,
Hanley
helps them
checks.
both.
Hanley has flopped top pair.
Check,
Chris
check.
has flopped a second pair.
7 of hearts. Chris checks.
Hanley's going for it. He's going to bet here.
20.
20.
Hanley bets 20.
Now Chris checked and Hanley bet 20,000, and Chris quickly beats him in the pot. Oh, the joker for Chris.
Oh, no.
He has made queens and 6s here.
This is a beautiful outdraw by Chris.
He checks. Hanley has bet 40,000.
What a nice check, too, by Chris.
All in.
All in, he says all in, Vince.
Oh, he's doing that quick all-in thing again. What a trap.
Well, the last time he did it, Hanley was right and called with the bottom pair.
King, queen, deuce, 7,
Now, Hanley's got to think. He's got kings. Well, what the heck does this guy have?
And remember, Chris has bluffed him 2 big pots since they've been playing heads up all the way down.
That's right.
He lost 1 and he won 1, but Hanley remembers those bluffs.
I call.
He's calling
And he
it.
called him.
2
Chris
pair.
says queen,
He planted the
6.
seeds with those bluffs earlier. Hanley thought he was bluffing again. He called him with the kings. The queens and 6s win this pot. Look at Hanley's face and look at this pot. This pot has 562,000 in it.
Hanley more than disgusted. He can't even speak right now.
He knows he got outdrawn at the river. He can only lose to 1 of 5 cards.
That's right.
Chris had to catch 1 of 3 6s or 1 of 2 queens. He only had 5 outs in the deck.
You know what, though? If Chris didn't set him up with a couple bluffs early on, Hanley can't possibly make this call.
But he sure got lucky in that pot, and he played it beautifully to double up. A monster pot over $500,000. He's got over a 5-to-1 chip lead now. Well, Vince, what's amazing here is when they started heads up, Hanley had him about 560,000 to 100. It's completely reversed now. Chris has the 560. Hanley's down to about 100.
Yeah, well, Hanley looks like he's had the blood drained out of him. He's a very disillusioned man. He's got 6-8 in his hand. Let's look at the flop.
Flop is ace, 9, 10.
Flop comes ace, 10, 9.
Now, Hanley has an inside straight draw.
Hanley checks.
They both check.
Bingo.
He did it. He's caught the straight. Now what do? He's got to check it.
He checks. Chris checks right behind him.
5 of clubs.
5 comes off at the turn.
He's got a beautiful hand.
20,000.
How to play it, what to bet.
He bets 20,000.
Hanley wins.
And Chris quickly folds his hand. Now, this has got to be very disheartening For Han Lee, he made a straight. He won nothing but the antes and blinds there.
Yeah, it's almost like the worst thing that can happen. You know, you get no action. Han Lee begging this guy to call, couldn't get him.
Well, what it looks like to me is now that Chris has the lead, he's like a hen sitting on his eggs. He's not going to give them up.
Welcome back to the Bicycle Casino's Legends of Poker tournament. The action started fast and furious today as Kathy Liebert and Can Hua went out in the first 4 hands of play. After that, arch rivals Mark Safe and Han Lee played a 2-man grudge match that sent the Los Angeles attorney packing. Stan Goldstein snuck into 3rd place, but just couldn't pick up a hand. Now, Chris Karakulian has gone from conservative to crazy and back again, as he claims the lion's share of chips in the final rounds of play. Let's get back to the action.
Well, I got a feeling it's going to be hard to pry those chips out of Chris. I don't think he's going to be in there rambling and gambling like he was when they started out heads up. He's in commanding position. He knows it. For Han Lee to come back now, he's going to have to crack a hand. He's going to have to beat a hand. It's just that simple. Chris looks pretty confident, doesn't he? Look at him.
Oh, yeah. Look at him. The cat that swallowed the canary there.
And Han Lee looks like the canary.
Han Lee first to act on the button. He calls 3,000. And Chris checks.
All right, Han Lee calls on the button. He's got 7-10 offsuit. Chris knocks the table with Queen 3. Flops comes Ace 10-6 with 2 clubs.
Han Lee catches the pair of 10s. He's betting.
Han Lee bets 20,000.
And no call by Chris.
Han Lee bets. He wins the pot.
Now, Han Lee does not look happy now. He can't get anything to happen.
Well, I'll tell you why he doesn't look happy, Vince, because he knows prying these chips back out of Chris is going to be a job. It's not going to come easy. It's going to be a long, long battle for him if he comes back and wins this tournament. Otherwise, it's going to have to be a hand over a hand. He's going to have to beat a big hand.
So the old tight Chris has come back.
The old tight Chris is back. He's put his suit back on. He's adjusted his tie. He's in the conservative mode again. He's just limping in on the button again.
On the button, and Han Lee checks.
He's got Queen 3 of clubs. He's up against Jack 3.
Flop comes Ace, King, King. 2 hearts.
Goes check, check.
They both check.
Now the 9 of clubs comes on the turn.
This doesn't help
They
anyone.
both check.
Goes check, check again.
Last card is a 10.
Now the 10 of spade
2
comes
king,
at the
ace,
river.
10, 9. They both check.
Goes check, check.
Jack high.
Chris has the queen kicker.
Queen high.
Han Lee has the jack
For
kicker. Chris wins the pot with the
2
queen
kings,
kicker.
ace, the queen will play.
Yeah, Chris wins the pot with the queen high. Just takes the pot. He wasn't going to gamble there. He just wants to get the
This will
killer
be
punch
last
in.
hand at this limit.
Well, I think he should. I think that's the correct strategy. Well, Vince, Chris is feeling good right now. He's got over a 5-1 chip lead, and I believe it's going to be hard to pry those chips out of him. Han Lee's on the button. He limps in on the button. He's got 10 jack offsuit.
40.
Now look at this. Look what Chris has.
Han Lee
He's
calls
got a
on the
real big
button,
hand. He's got a
and
pair of
Chris is gonna raise
queens.
it
It's a very big
40,000.
hand. He's raising the pot 40,000. Now that's a big raise. The blind's only 6,000. He's raised it 40,000. Now Han Lee's got a situation here. He's only got a jack 10 offsuit. He's only got about 115,000 left.
Calling.
He's going to gamble.
Han Lee calls.
He comes in for the 40,000 more. Now, Vince, I know the Jack 10 was luckier for him when he played against Stan Goldstein, but I don't like this $40,000 call raised before the flop. Now, here comes the flop, Jack 5-4.
Han Lee has top pair. He thinks he's good.
Chris moves all in, and Han Lee quickly calls him. He can't get away from it.
Who bet?
Now, Chris has 2 queens. Han Lee has 2 jacks.
Chris bet.
He's got a 10 kicker.
Chris is a huge favorite here.
He's a 4-1 favorite to win this pot right now. Han Lee has to catch a jack or a 10.
Okay, turn 1 card.
Here we go. No,
4 comes on the turn.
not going to help Han Lee.
No, what that means is it took 3 of his outs. He now has to catch a jack. He's got a 2-outer. He's a huge underdog. Right now, he's not feeling too good.
Crazier things have happened. Is he going to get lucky?
No! He made a full house, but the wrong one.
Chris has won the tournament with fours full of queens.
Chris Carrigan, who won the first pot of the day with 2 queens against Kathy Liebert, to win a monster pot, ends the tournament with 2 queens. The ladies have been lucky for Chris today, Vince.
Incredibly so. $258,000 first prize. He does it with 2 ladies. Amazing. Hanley, a good sport there.
Well, the truth is, Hanley got himself in big trouble by calling the $40,000 raise before the flop. Once the jack comes on the flop, you can't get away from this hand. The 2 queens were a little bit over a 4-to-1 favorite to win this pot.
He's going to take home about $258,000 for this, but not only that, Mike, you know, he's got a guaranteed seat on the WPT Championship at Bellagio worth millions of dollars to go up against all the legendary players.
Okay, we're with our winner. Chris, tell us what you were thinking today.
Well, I knew I was going to win because I'm the best. So. Well,
Chris, congratulations. And of course, in a few minutes, we have quite a bit of money for you, okay?
We do want to thank the Bicycle Casino for hosting the Legend of Poker. It's been a fantastic event on the World Poker Tour this week. We hope to see you back again next time on the World Poker Tour.